Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. So there I am, my feet in the stirrups, staring up at the ceiling. Oh shit, wrong show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, a show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a glorious panel here with me to break down all the shit talking and shenanigans, the fight announcements and fuckery that has all trickled out that MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. I, of course, am your hostess with the mostest. The meter does many things. Before we get into all the fun and fuckery, though, first and foremost, gentlemen, how you doing over there?
Another lovely day in paradise.
Yes, sir.
One day closer to the weekend, so got that going for us.
Complain about that.
And then I walked in and I was like, Meter, what are you doing in that chair like that?
Hey, man, if you ain't paying the tips, you don't get to call the shots.
Last time I checked, $20 was $20.
That's right. OnlyFans just kicked the podcast off, remember? Oh, but that being said, we are going to jump right in here and kick things off the way that we like to with a little bit of news and recent events. Official fight confirmations, cancellations, rumor confirmations or denials directly from the sources, things of that nature that are relevant to the fight world that we feel you fine folks need to be aware of that have happened since we talked to you last. We start out, unfortunately, as we have to do more often than not, leaning back towards last week, but just for a little bit here. Directly from the source himself, Beneil Dariush has finally officially released a statement. He is not retiring, but he is going to, and I'm using air quotes for those listening, take some time away from the sport of MMA and reevaluate how he feels about things. We've been saying for a hot minute now, Beneil Dariush is one of those crafty old vets that you can never really count out, but has been on the downhill side of his career for a hot minute now. Like, realistically, he probably could have retired about 5 years ago and wouldn't have been much different than what he's got going on right now. Whether he actually decides to go ahead and fully retire at this point or just needs, a couple months off to go get the fire reignited and come give it another run, which he is absolutely capable of, we don't really know, but we will absolutely keep an eye on that and keep up to breast as that situation unfolds. The other one tied to last week is a little bit fucking weird. It's actually a pair of things from last weekend. The first one, while for some reason shooting promotional footage outside the venue in Miami, the Pitbull brothers got into a literal street fight last weekend, spilled into traffic like 15 fucking people, giant crowd, crazy shit going on. To the extent that Patricio got his eyebrow sliced open in the fight, and they had to cancel the main event, which he was a part of. But, being as that it's karate combat and not to be outdone, in the middle of the co-main event, one of the gentlemen who was an early fighter for karate combat and now is on the payroll to do like promotional shit, decided that it would be a great time for him to take a giant pair of sunglasses and a walking stick and to climb down into the karate combat pit and pretend to walk his way across the pit during the middle of a sanctioned fucking fight. Luckily, the referee saw this dipshit climbing over the side of the rails and stopped the fight, and they waited for his dumbass to walk all the fucking way across and climb out the other side and then restarted the fight. But this is literally someone who Karate Combat put on the fucking payroll to help them do promotions. I'd say this with air quotes as well, president of Karate Combat has released a statement this afternoon that said that that gentleman has officially been fired and is no longer employed by Karate Combat, but basically only because they had just signed a 9-year lease on the building that they were in, and if they get their their promoter's license pulled, they now have a 9-year building they can't do anything with. He didn't say he was mad that it happened. He said that he was mad that it happened right after they signed a 9-year lease on the building. Karate Combat, gonna Karate Combat. For at least a little while anyway. We'll see how long that holds up. But back in the side of fun things in the combat sports world, we did get some pretty interesting announcements here, and some that we've been waiting for. Not the big one we've been waiting for, but some interesting ones. First and foremost, coming up in a little over a month here, June 27th, UFC's first trip to Baku officially has its main event. Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres will main event the UFC Baku card. That's just a weird fight in general, let alone to make the main event in Baku on the other side of the world. But UFC's gonna UFC. We did get a couple of interesting announcements here for actually, hang on. Before we get to that, even July 18th, PFL Austin announced their main event this afternoon. It will be Costello Van Steenis with the rematch against Johnny Eblin for the welterweight, for the welterweight belt over in PFL. First match kind of went exactly how everybody thought it was going to go. I'm not really sure why they're running this back so quickly, but I, at least as of right now, am anticipating an almost beat for beat fucking remake of the first time around, because neither one of them have really done much different since they just fought not that fucking long ago. So we are potentially in for another Volk Diego 2 situation over on the PFL side of things this summer. Go figure. The other one we got the pair here for is the week after that, or the week before that, rather, July 11th, UFC 329 from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas for International Fight Week. We got a pair of fights here, and we've been kind of waiting for both of these, and neither one of them are really what anybody thought they were going to play out, but I'm still curious to see how they actually play out. The first one, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It is now official. Robert Whittaker is no longer a middleweight. He has officially booked his first fight at light heavyweight. He will be fighting at UFC 329 in Vegas against Nikita Krylov. Not the fight that I thought they were going to give him, but not a bad fight for him to make his debut at light heavyweight as well. Traditionally speaking, when most of the middleweights have tried to go up to light heavyweight, the UFC generally throws those people to Jan Blachowicz, and Jan Blachowicz generally tennis ball smacks him right the fuck back down to middleweight. Well, with Jan hurt right now, I was very curious who they were going to let Whittaker make his debut against. Turns out it's going to be Nikita Krylov. I have a feeling that's going to go fairly well for Bobby Knuckles, and he may stick around at light heavyweight for a little while, but obviously we will keep an eye on that as we get closer to July. The other one that we got confirmed this week for 329, Paddy Pimblett versus Benoit Saint Denis. That one we have heard quite a few fucking stirs about. Even Paddy himself has mentioned recently that he may be fighting a Frenchman coming up very soon, but obviously didn't have any official dates or confirmations at that time. Well, he wasn't bullshitting. He was actually letting people know, like, he's fighting BSD in fucking Vegas. So that's going to be a hell of a matchup, in my opinion. 329 shaping up to be pretty fucking decent so far. Couple of interesting ones here to close things out. We talked about it last week with Aljamain Sterling signing a 6-fight contract extension, and then saying he realistically thinks he probably only has 3 or 4 fights left in him. So he willingly signed a fight contract longer than what he thinks he will be able to do, and will have no choice but to retire under the UFC banner and then never be able to compete anywhere again. Well, we got another one of those this week, but even fucking worse. Charles Oliveira, Chucky Olives, coming off of his victory against Max Holloway for the BMF title, announced this afternoon that he has signed an 8-fight contract extension with the UFC. And I love Charles Oliveira, but I have a very, very difficult time seeing 8 more fights for him in the UFC. Realistically speaking, I would be surprised if we see Charles Oliveira 5 more times. That I feel like would probably be pushing it. I think 2, maybe 3 more big fights, and that's going to be all she wrote one way or another. I don't really see many paths for them to lay out that would lead to 8 more fights for Charles Oliveira before he hangs him up at this point. I don't know if the UFC is just stacking these zeros onto these giant checks to get these guys to sign contracts, knowing the contracts will be longer than the rest of their careers, or if these guys really just aren't paying attention to everyone who has come before them and literally said, this is a bad idea. Look how bad this has fucked me. Don't do this. But here we go again.
Could you see Charles doing maybe three big fights, and then the rest of them maybe like a a doorman type of deal? Like this
I
is
think Charles
your
would be
crack
okay with that.
into.
I think Charles would be fine with 3 more big fights and then some be the gatekeeper type of situation. The problem
Right.
is that on this new contract, I guarantee you he's making 6 figures, and not a small 6 figures. I bet he's making between 3 and 500,000 per fight at this point. Plus, he now has the BMF belt, which gives him championship privileges as well. So he's making good money. And even if he loses that BMF belt and they take the championship money away, he's still making good money. So you have to think this is one of those situations where the UFC has a guy where realistically they may not be able to market him further than 3 or 4 fights from now, but they still have him on a contract for, up to potentially $500,000 per fight. Do you really want to spend $500,000 gatekeeping a division, or are you going to look to hire 7 more Dana White Contender Series fighters for 12,000 apiece to fill that spot plus 7 more for the price of one Charles Oliveira? It ain't fun and it ain't pretty, but it is a news, and that's why we're talking about it. That being said, kind of on the other side of things, this one I'm actually very happy to have heard about. We got the official confirmation this afternoon. Gilbert Burns has officially signed with UFC BJJ. He confirmed he is staying retired from MMA. He had a run in MMA. He had a good time. He's got plenty to look back on. He's going back to his foundations. Gilbert Burns came from the world of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, where he is and always has been a world class monster. Now he gets to go back to Jiu Jitsu, not have to worry about getting punched in the face. No more takedowns, no more wet blanket games, no more leg kicks, no more liver shots, just Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And gi or no gi, Gilbert Burns is one of the best in the world. So the fact that he's confirmed, I'm done with MMA, but I'm going back to Jiu Jitsu. Bitches, you better eat your fucking Wheaties because that man's coming to take your lunch. I'm telling you right fucking now. I'm here for that one. Over on the other side of the pond and the other side of the house, as it were, we got an interesting one here. We've heard a lot coming out of BKFC lately, and not all of it has been good, and this isn't helping anything. Their former heavyweight belt holder, ex-UFC star Mick Terrell, has officially left the BKFC to re-sign with the British bare knuckle promotion BKB on a multi-fight contract. Mick essentially went from the UFC to BKB, beat the shit out of a whole bunch of people there, was their heavyweight champion, obviously. BKFC called him with a better offer and potentially more exposure, gave him a small run there, and seemingly have stuck him back on the bench after his last loss last year. And apparently he's going back to BKB. He's not going to sit around on the sidelines for anybody because BKB is going to throw him right back into a heavyweight title fight and get him back in action, which is what BKFC would have been smart to do, but they're going to do what they're going to do. So Mick Terrell is now officially off the BKFC roster, back on the BKB roster, and heading for a heavyweight title fight, hopefully by the end of summer, is what they said in the press release. While we're talking about BKFC shitting the bed, though, for the record, I called this over a year ago. And lots of folks thought that I was just being a hater. I'm just being the petty asshole that I am. And I just kept saying, okay, well, we'll watch and we'll see it play out and we'll see how things unfold. And I would just like to take a second to formally say, told you so, motherfuckers. Alex the Terrible, lead singer, tough guy extraordinaire, had his BKFC debut last weekend. He landed a total of 34 strikes in 3 rounds before he was knocked down for the 5th and final time and counted out. He got his ass beat. There's no good way to say it. He got his ass beat by a dude with, I believe, Coleman's record was 2-6 coming into this fight. So not only did he get his ass beat, but he got his ass beat by a soup can that he was literally gifted to make his debut and knock out. He did an interview this afternoon and said that he's very disappointed, that he felt like he had worked very hard and done everything he needed to do, but that looking at this from the other side of things, that was probably his last fight. I told you fuckers a year ago he was going to go in once, get his ass kicked, and call it a fucking day. And that's exactly what fucking happened. It's all good to think you're a big tough guy from the sidelines when you're watching shit. Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson said it a long time ago, and motherfuckers seem to keep forgetting it. Watching fights is not the same as being in fights, especially bare knuckle. So this hopefully is the end of the Alex the Terrible experiment in the combat sports world. Keep singing your songs. Stay the fuck out of the fight world, homie. Stay in your lane. That being said, back over to the UFC side of things for the last pair that I've got for the news this week. And neither one of them are good, to be honest with you here. The first one, we got word directly from the horse's mouth this week that Mason Jones is still, as of today, May 7th, waiting for his $100,000 bonus that he earned from UFC London in the beginning of March. We are now several months removed from an amazing fucking performance that he absolutely earned that fucking $100,000 bonus, and somehow magically he still hasn't fucking seen it yet. Ordinarily, that would be, just one of those things. They'll get it taken care of, but seeing as how we've got a whole lot going on in the UFC right now, and then we've got the next story that I'm about to talk about here, despite the, I guess you could technically call them tickets because you have to reserve a place on the Epstein 250 card happening in DC next month. The UFC has officially announced what they are calling a partner package for the Epstein 250 and UFC 329. It's tickets to both events, plus VIP seating at the weigh-ins and face-offs for both events, plus a meet and greet with the fighters involved and a backstage tour to both events, starting at the low price of $1.5 million. You heard that correct. Do not attempt to adjust your television. $1.5 million. If this is the model they're using to not do pay-per-views anymore, the UFC is going to go bankrupt next year.
And the worst part of that is you got to be vetted to even go there.
Yeah. So you very well could spend $1.5 million and then still get told you don't get to go. Why they thought this was a good idea, I don't have a fucking clue. I got a couple of good ideas what they might have been thinking, but yeah, the UFC is going to UFC, and as of right now, they are UFC and all over everything for the summertime. So that is what I've got for news for this week, though. Either one of you gentlemen have anything that I might have missed?
two things. One is indirectly related to MMA. Rampage Jackson's son did take a fucking his a plea agreement, 90 days in jail, $81,000 in fine for his out of ring beating of another professional wrestler.
Unsupervised probation.
Yeah, unsupervised probation, 2 years. Excuse me. Then the other one was just a quick quip of I want people to think. How many people think Shavkat Rakhmonov is actually going to make it back to the UFC? If anybody has seen any of the socials that they posted of him doing rehab from his knee, shit's not looking good. His leg is atrophied so goddamn much muscle. For those of you who don't understand what the word atrophy means, it means muscle loss.
Deterioration, literally, of the muscle.
Because it wasn't being used, so therefore the muscle tissue just goes away. But yeah, if you can look at his socials, it's not looking good. If we see him in 2 years, I would be surprised at this point. And I think the worst part of this is why the fuck did the UFC not pay to have him have that shit done here in the States, where he's going to be guaranteed to have the greatest doctors? Because look, there are some of the greatest in the town I live in, have some of the greatest orthopedists in all of the United States. There are players from all over the NFL that come to the town I live in just to get orthopedic surgery because they specialize in it. The UFC has doctors like that on retainer.
We've seen other fighters have to go through major surgeries and literally do their recovery and PT at the UFC PI in Vegas.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's possible.
It sounds like a shady thing. And then also one other thing, God, I hate to say this, but it seems like somebody is off the shit list because at that 250 card, they finally got somebody gets to be the backup. Armin Sarukian finally got off the shit list. But I think he's still on it because he's just a backup. They don't expect that fight to fall out.
He's officially off the shit list. I think he's just a little closer to being off the bottom of the shit list at this point.
Yeah, I think they did that as a, hey, we don't hate you, but we know this fight's not actually going to fall through.
Here's a little carrot for you.
Yeah.
Behave yourself, Armin. Here's the
Granted,
carrot. Behaving.
At this point, if it does fall through and he actually has to fight, I'll shit a chicken.
Yeah, I don't think either one of those gentlemen involved would let anything short of a fucking train crash stop them from getting to that fucking event. So, yeah, we'll see how that one plays out for sure. But that being said, that's what we've got for news this week. So that'll bring us to the point where if you've been watching the show for a while, generally speaking, we like to bring on some of our favorite casual friends and let them talk about how they see things. And one of the side effects of doing that is if you come on and do casual corner with us for too long and start watching fights with us, eventually you're not a casual anymore. And that's exactly what we've got going on here. We had ourselves a brand new casual, and he's been watching long enough to where he's starting to get it, and we can't use him as a casual anymore. So now he is officially on his combat sports journey. And in doing so, he's starting to learn about all the things that make combat sports, and how and why everything works in a little segment that we like to call The Next Move with Flintlock.
Thank you there, brother man. Okay, so been thinking, and our next move has got to be takedowns. Now, whether it be, a takedown from, the level change of a event of striking, throwing punches back and forth, and all of a sudden you shoot a takedown, whether it's tripping, whether it's just a blind naked takedown. Well, it doesn't matter. It has to be in your repertoire. It has to be in you have to be able to do it. It's no longer back in the day you could get away with just being able to knock somebody out, whether it be with your hands or with your feet. And yeah, maybe it got on the ground, and yeah, maybe you were able to grab an arm and twist or get on top of somebody and start ground and pound. But in today's world, in today's MMA, you got guys that'll sit on their ass and scoot across the ring at you. What the fuck are you gonna do to that? You can't kick him in the head. You have to have your takedowns. You have to have your takedowns, and you also have to have your on ground defense. All that. We'll talk about that later. That's a later installment. But specifically, what I want to focus on is the level change from going from striking, body, face, maybe a leg kick. You're getting your opponent in a one set mind frame. I gotta block against punches or kicks, or I gotta block against what have you, Superman punch, whatever. And then all of a sudden, you drop down and you grab their waist, and you've got both hands underneath their legs. The power you can generate that from that alone, and the stuff that you were looking at, you've got their knee, you've got an ankle, you've got a heel, you've got every what is it, weakness in the leg right there, and you're staring at it as you're taking them down. It is setting you up for success. Now, you can fuck it up, and we have watched many people fuck it up. You don't just walk. Look, man, you are both professional fighters. If the first thing you're gonna do is try to bear hug this guy's waist, it's not gonna work. Well, I can't say that. It has worked a couple of times, and yeah, but shooting naked takedowns is very highly frowned upon, I guess you would say. Uh, but if you disguise it, it's like an art. It's like watching a guy. It's like watching a guy paint, really, and literally, if he split somebody open. Um, but just watching a guy slip a punch, and then all of a sudden they're on the ground, and you don't know what the fuck happened. He's got his arm twisted 3 times into a triangle, and what the hell just happened? He slipped his punch, and either A, double leg, B, single leg. I'm more of a fan of the double leg. I feel like it's more successful. I could be wrong. I'm not always right. Don't shoot me, okay? But and then once you get to the ground, if you haven't latched onto one of those legs, you've got 2 of them right there. You got all those points to attack. If you haven't done that, you are already on top of this person. Now, there are people that can fuck you up on the way down, and then they flipped it around on you, and now you're the one in trouble. But a good, we'll say 6 times out of 10 in the MMA world, it's a good chance that you've got some type of an advantage right off the point, it's especially following through with the takedown. The takedown itself can be used defensively. You get rocked. If the guy throws another punch and you slip it at the right time, you're down on the ground and you're starting to recover. Now you got to realize that you're gonna have to be on a defensive on the ground, and that guy's not gonna stop throwing punches just because you're on the ground. But you got a little bit more leeway there. Now that kind of tails into panic wrestling, but that being said, your takedowns is almost, I don't want to say everything, because fuck, I love to watch a good stand-up game. I love to watch somebody get knocked out, kicked in the head, whatever, calf kick, this, all that shit. But now that I've gotten further into my MMA experience, watching the takedowns, watching what they do on the ground, watching the intricacies of all this, it's crazy to see what I used to think was boring is now interesting to me. It's like, why did that takedown work? Well, Meter's like, well, because he just threw that jab or through that hook or through that kick or whatever, and the momentum's carrying him this way. Oh, okay, I see that. Well, now that shit's it gets the wheels turning, bro. But the takedown itself, let's get off track. The takedown itself, it's a core fundamental you have to have in today's MMA. And I know I've kind of went all over the place, but yeah, that's really all I can say.
Much appreciated, sir. Yeah, takedowns and setting up takedowns properly are one of the most important fundamentals that an MMA fighter in today's day and age can have in their back pocket. You don't have to be the best wrestler. You don't have to be the best striker, but you have to have a good enough defense in either place to stop a takedown. And if you've got good enough defensive wrestling to stop a takedown, or the other side of that coin, if you're a shit striker, but you've got great takedowns, you can go real fucking far. And on the other side of that, if you're a great fighter with no takedown defense, you can find yourself on your ass more often than you would like to, very easily, 100%. So I absolutely agree. Great point to cover this week.
And just to play the devil's advocate, you shoot a takedown at the wrong time, you're going to sleep.
Ask Ben Askren how that works.
Like, you should, yeah. Flying knee to the face. Bro, I wish more people would do that. That is almost the perfect takedown defense. Knee him in the side of the head.
Yep.
Or step off and hit him with that left.
Derek Lewis gave Curtis fucking Blades one of the hardest fucking shots he ever got in his goddamn life when Curtis was trying to shoot a naked takedown without setting it up, and Blades laid him out stiff, throwing gang signs on the fucking canvas. Ben Askren literally tried to open a fight shooting a takedown, and Jorge Masvidal went, "No, we're not doing that," and set fucking history in motion with that one. So yeah, it works on both sides. You either have to be able to shoot a takedown and do it properly, or you have to be able to defend a takedown properly and convincingly. But you can't not have both of those pieces in your game. You have to be the best that you possibly can be at one side or the other of that. Both if you can, but one is required in today's day and age for sure. Excuse me. So that being said, that'll bring us to the point where if you've been watching combat sports as long as some of us have been watching combat sport, you start to learn what you like to watch and when it comes on and how to watch it, and you start to get comfortable and develop a set of blinders, if you will, and you lose the forest for the trees. Luckily for us here on the show, we've got ourselves a young person out there delicately and diligently fingering the MMA pulse to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they are names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. Hopefully you don't have too much traffic on this. Got off the fucking highway here. This card as a whole, I would say, is probably one of the better ones we're getting this year. They've got quite a few fun fights and fucking matchups on this. So I'm not going to shit all over the entire thing. That'll be next week. We're going to save that for next week. This week I do have quite a few good things I want to touch on, but we've got some shit we got to throw out there. And one of them is the obvious. Ozzy Diaz getting set up for another knockdown this weekend. He's obvious trash. I think the fight could be fun. I hope it's fun. But I got to be honest and throw them both in the garbage. I mean, dude's been cut from the UFC more times than he's been added back to the UFC, and Jeremy Stephens. For Bobby Green and Jeremy Stephens, a really weird fucking fight, really weird matchup. Definitely didn't expect after Jeremy came back last year for the fucking Iowa card, gets his ass beat by Mason Jones. They're going to bring him back again. So that's fun. I mean, the fight could actually turn out to be decent. I mean, if they both really go out there trying to tear each other's heads off, it's that situation we've seen before. Two old-ass dudes way past their prime, but they might tear each other's heads off. So it could be fun, but I still got to throw it in the trash. Bobby's damn sure on the end of his career. Like I said, Jeremy's been cut, I feel like, more times than he's been added back. And this is what, his third, fourth time coming back? I know third for sure. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we'll see how it goes. But had to throw that one in the shitter. What's another? I think I had another fight as a whole. I got to throw in the shitter here. Uh, yep. The Jim Miller and the Gordon fight. I love me some Jim Miller too. Flash Gordon has had fun moments. Was another situation. Like out of all the fights on this card, those situations. They're just pinning old dudes up against each other, so one of them can get killed and the other one can get some praise towards the end of their career. Well, that's cool. We love that. That's normally what they do with the old guys, but it's nothing crazy. You know, that fight probably is going to be more lackluster, I would think, than the chances we get an exciting fight between Bobby and Jeremy. I would think Jim Miller's got a good chance to get the sub there. I would expect Jim to probably win this fight, but Jared Gordon, knocked out Thiago Moises and has had some decent moments as of late. Is it going to be a great fight? I don't really think so. So I had to throw that one in the garbage. You got the kid Jose Ochoa. Yeah, I thought he looked decent on the Contender Series. So I was like, okay, we'll see what this kid can do. And since he's got a UFC, he's laid a fat fucking egg. And I think that's going to continue on. So throw him in the garbage. And then, dude that has not been in a boring fight his whole career in the UFC, Mateusz Ramsbecki. It's a hard ass fucking name to pronounce. I want to say Rebecca every time, but apparently that's not how you fucking pronounce it. The dude's fun, but the dude's not great. Especially for the Polish fighters that we've seen get to step into the UFC. The dude hasn't shown any like tremendous knockout power or anything like that. He just crazy motherfucker that gets into crazy fights and is tough as hell and can take a serious ass whooping. Because most of his fights, we've seen him take an ass whooping more than dish it out. So had to throw him in there too. My two on the fence contenders of the week, Schrodinger's good old contender, our boy Grant Dawson. He's really shat the bed in the couple of moments where they gave him an opportunity to step up. And they gave him, I felt like, easy opportunities to step up, and he shat the bed in both of them. The Bobby Green fight a few years ago now, and then Manuel Torres just a little bit ago. So rough for Grant with how things have gone for him, especially in these big moment fights that he could have gotten in the top 15. But I know the dude is extremely well-rounded. He's an amazing grappler, and he's actually got some hands on him. He could pop himself up in the rankings of that top 15 in the lightweight division, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He's on the fence. And then you had the on-the-fence fight for me. Could be really exciting. Both of these dudes have had great winning streaks before and have tons of potential, but have also shat the bed countless times. The Buckley and Brady fight. That's an on the fence one for me. That fight could be fucking fun as shit. Both of them have decent grappling and wrestling. Well, obviously Brady is the grappler, but I think Buckley could withstand the grappling, make it a fun fight. If they stood and tried to trade, we just saw Brady get knocked out by Michael Morales. We've seen Buckley get knockouts before. It could be a fun fight, but I don't know that it's going to be a fun fight. It could also just be that 15 minutes of Brady grapple fucking Buckley or them both trying to do it to each other. So I'm on the fence with that fight. Those are my on the fence moments. You have the obvious contender spots, fucking Hamzat and Strickland, the main event. That's going to be fun. The build up to the fight has been great. I always love it when we get darkness. This is the fight game. It's trash talk. It's more, granted, probably everybody in the world hates Sean Strickland and some dumb shit he said at one point or another. But man, does he make things entertaining by saying the stupid shit that he does and pissing people off. And he's got that damn Chechen all riled up. And I'm completely fine either way. I'm fine if Sean gets his ass beat. I'm fine if he somehow gets past this Chechen horror that he likes to call him. It'll be a good ass time either way, man. That fight's going to be electric, especially at the build up. I saw the clip on my break at work tonight of the face off. Like, I haven't actually seen the press conference or none of that, but I saw I kicked Sean in the nuts. Gave him a little cheap shot in the bells already. Hey, might lose a few shekels off your purse for that one, but hopefully nothing else goes crazy before we actually get to the fight, so we lose this fight. That's the only thing. You love the darkness, you love the shit talk, you love craziness, but then when the fight comes around, you do fucking nothing. You put on a snoozer. We don't need that shit, and we don't need to lose the fucking main event championship fight because they're both acting like fools either. So as long as it stays within parameters, I'm excited for that one. I'm excited as all hell main event too. Josh McMahon looked so damn good as of late. Like we didn't really we kind of robbed in the last fight to see how good the kid really is, because he didn't really get to fight Pantoja. That fight fucking starts, Pantoja breaks his arm. Boom, done. They're good on the kid for getting lucky, winning the title, but now you got to really prove it. And the next best contender in the flyweight division is definitely a tougher test for him than I think Manel Kape would have fucking been. So we'll see. Do we get the first fucking Japanese champion? Every time we've had this moment, I get so hyped and so excited. I'm like, yes, it might be the one. And it's like I was telling Vinny this, I think this morning, something about it, man. Those Japanese dudes and women are just cursed. There's some sort of curse about them. I hate it. I still feel like it's because of the UFC and the pride thing and the never going back to Japan. You need to go back to the homeland, and then we'll get the Japanese champion. So if this fight was happening in Japan, full on would be Taira. The fact it's not, we'll see how it goes. But it's going to be fun as hell. It's exciting as shit. I'm kind of interested to see what Susurkayev does here. Dude didn't look so great in his last fight. Looked great on the Contender Series. Fights like 4 days later, gets the fucking knockout. They do this same Hamzat shit with him by giving him fights back to back to back. And then that in the last fight he had a little bit of a rough go. You're fucking fighting Eric McConaughey, and it took you till the third round to put the dude out. So that was a rough look. I'm not gonna lie. We'll see how he can do in this next one. But other than that, I think there was another kid or two I have here that I wanted to touch on. The Alvarez fight. Yep, I almost forgot the Amosov and Alvarez fight, and then obviously Gautier. Those are the other big ones that I wanted to touch on. Really high on Atiba Gautier. I saw fucking Susurkayev this week was talking some shit, kind of trying to call him out before they even gotten their fights done this weekend. He's saying that that'd be easy money for him. I want to see that next. I hope they both win this weekend just so Gautier can fuck that motherfucker up. That'll be a good time. But that Amosov and Alvarez fight, that's probably the one I'm the most excited for. Like, personally, outside of the fucking champion fights, I love him. I'm Italian side. I always rep you, and he's got some scott. So we love rooting for those fucking culture fights, like any Italian that's ever been in the UFC, I try to ride for, even though Marvin Vettori fucking sucks, right? Be the same this weekend with Yara. And Joel Alvarez is fucking good. Like, he is fucking good. He is well-rounded. That guy's got some fucking hands, but he's got some grappling, dude. Like, that is going to be a fun fucking matchup. And to see Yaroslav Amosov go in there and just dominate him the way he did Neil Magny, make me the happiest that I could be this weekend with any fucking moment from any of these fights. Yaroslav getting right in there, being the next one up for the title. Like, wouldn't that be hilarious, right? He got Carlos doing what he just did last weekend, and Ian Gary's bitch ass bitching and whining about being the next one for the entire year this year so far. And they give it to Carlos next, and then Yara just fucking pushes right past his bitch ass too, and Ian Gary's just left in the fucking dust. I'd love the fuck out of that. So let's go Yara this weekend. That's all I got on my shit, boys. I know we got some pit action coming up here in a little bit. It'll be fun. Still don't know. It gives me popping in afterward. I don't know if I'm judging or if I'm getting down on it, but I'm cool either way. Like to hear what you boys got to say. Shit on it while you can, because next weekend's going to be real bad.
And therein lies the problem. I don't want to shit on this card because next weekend is fucking terrible. In fact, I might take next week Thursday off just so I don't have to talk about it.
I
Who
wouldn't
knows?
fucking blame you.
Now,
One fight next weekend. Yeah, the whole card.
now, as far as there's a few on here where, yeah, I'm gonna say they're subpar, but I won't say they're subpar. It's just subpar because of there's no implications to it. I'm gonna agree 100% with you. The Jim Miller Jared Gordon fight. I love Jim Miller just as much as the next guy, but we're getting to the point in both of their careers, and God, I want to see Jim Miller fight at UFC 400. I know that's not gonna happen. Well, I can't say I know that's not gonna happen because it's Jim fucking Miller, but he's getting a little long in the tooth, and Jared Gordon is that same guy. He's getting long in the tooth. He's been around for a while. Typical journeyman. And I mean, we're not getting anything out of this other than we get to watch Jim Miller, which that right there is good enough for me. But outside of that, the fight really doesn't do anything for the lightweight division. It doesn't really move the needle. I like that they have it as the first fight on the prelim card, which it's a great spot for it. To be honest, I hate to say it, but I think it could have been the premier early prelim. But what do I know? I mean, that is what it is. Gautier's obviously going to beat the brakes off of Ozzy Diaz. That's just how it's going to work. So there's not a lot to talk about there. The worst fight on the fucking card, in my opinion, is Bobby Green and fucking Jeremy Stevens. In my opinion, that is the worst fight on the card. I have no. That is another one. Does nothing. Green is fucking on his. He's got to be on his way out the door at this point. Jeremy Stevens. Why is he still in the UFC? They got lucky bringing him back, and then just let him go. If you love them, let them go. Jeremy Stevens was fun to watch at one point. Not so much anymore. I will say the same thing about Green, because Green was fun to watch at one point. Not so much anymore. I'm more interested in seeing the fucking new guys coming in. By Singer Sursakayev. Sursakayev did great his first one out, second one out, kind of shit the bed. Didn't lose it, but he shit the bed based on what we saw initially. So if he handily does away with Jordan Santos, then yeah, maybe he just had hiccup. Because he did show some fucking promise. I'll give him that. But that's more exciting to me than the fucking Green and Stevens fight. And only because there's a possibility of there being another needle mover in the UFC. And I say a possibility because I'm not 100% sold on it. As far as the fucking, I'm actually very excited to see Volkov, and that's only because I want him to beat the ever living piss out of Cortez Acosta. Because God, I can't stand that dude. And Volkov is a killing machine. He had one hiccup in the last, 2 years or 3 years, and that was against Cyril Gahn. Cyril Gahn's a certified fucking killer when he's not poking guys in the eyes. So that one, yeah, exciting for only one reason. As fuck Cortez Acosta. And of course, the co-main and main, fucking fantastic. The main, you get two guys that are willing to fight literally anywhere. They're just so happening to get paid this time and be in the middle of the ring. Although they could have gladly have taken the fight outside of the ring and not gotten paid, and they would have been just as happy. Because they're both slightly loose cannons. Actually, who am I kidding? They're both very loose cannons. And then you got guys like Nakomin, Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira. Guys that are young into their careers and fighting at the highest fucking level. There's a possibility that we see the first Japanese champion in UFC history, which would be fucking great. But you also have Joshua Van, who's been on an absolute tear and is, in my opinion, the best fucking boxer in the UFC as far as where he throws his punches. He might not be the most powerful, but he works the body better than anyone. He mixes his punches up great, sits behind the jab. A lot of people could learn a lot from him. Look, even though this is MMA, the jab is still one of the most versatile fucking weapons out there. And he's the prime example of what happens when you do that and do that extremely well. You get to the title shot. Yeah, you win the title off of an unfortunate injury, but that is part of the fight game. We don't know which way that fight would have played out, but he very well could have won it. I mean, Pantoja's no fucking walk in the park, but it's there. I mean, and now it is what it is. So we get to see another great match there. So, you know, but overall, the card's not fucking bad. It's just not everything on here is not everything has implications that make a big difference. That's the only thing where place that I see this card actually fall short. Now, there's a couple guys on here that I don't give two flying fucks about, but that's to be expected. Next week will be just a shit show from beginning and end. So here we go.
So, before I talk about the fights real quick, I just have to make a point. This is the type of little thing that shouldn't make any difference whatsoever, but it drives me fucking crazy. Say it all the fucking time, and I will continue to say it because I call shits like I fucking see it. When the UFC goes on the road, more often than not, they make a point to do very well with getting fighters who are either from or have ties to the area where the fight is taking place. Last weekend, every single fight on the fucking card had an Australian or New Zealander in it. Every single fucking fight on that card. There's 2 fighters on this whole goddamn card with any tie to New Jersey. 2. Fucking 2. We go to Canada, there's a Canadian in almost every fucking fight. We go to Vegas, half the fighters on the fucking card either live or train out of Vegas. But we go to New Jersey for the first time in fucking years with a real fucking fight card, and there's 2 fucking people to tie anybody local to that fucking event. That sucks. And they do that in the US more than they do it anywhere else. Vegas is the only place that gets an exception because the PI and so many big gyms, along with the UFC itself, are based out of Vegas. So other than Las Vegas, when the fights are anywhere but the T-Mobile Arena or the Apex, there's a smattering. Last time they came to Kansas City, 4 fucking fighters from Missouri on the card, and they made 2 of them fight each other. They're in New Jersey. 2 fucking fighters on a fucking numbered, I say with air quotes, numbered card from the local spot. So the inconsistency is fucking palpable here. That being said, on paper, big discernment here. On paper, this might be the best card of the year. 327 was damn close. But on paper, just looking at the matchups here, this could be the best card we've had laid out for us in 2026 so far. There is a little bit of fat to be trimmed off the card for damn sure, but for the most part, almost every fight on this card means something, either to the fighters involved, to the division they're in, or to the organization as a whole, with the exception of the few that these guys have pretty much jumped all over. I will say there are a couple that I think are sliding under the radar, but I have to say this. They both said it, and I will affirm it. We are huge A10 fans here on the show. We have been Jim Miller fans since long before the show started, and we will be Jim Miller fans until long after he hangs his fucking gloves up. That being said, I did not know he was fighting on this card until Tuesday when I started to do research and watch the embeddeds. I thought he was fighting next month on one of the fight night cards. I didn't realize he was fighting on 328 this weekend. So that tells you how much they've been promoting this fucking fight. That said, these guys are both absolutely on the fucking tread showing portion of their highway mile tires. Like, we are looking at the end of the road from either side of the fucking vantage point here, and it's just a matter of who's going to go on their terms and who's going to get taken out. Because I love Jim Miller, but he's had a couple of rough bumps in the road recently. Jared Gordon, for all of his shortcomings, has made the absolute fucking most out of a journeyman career in the fucking UFC, because he was never a title threat, but man, is he given some motherfuckers their money's worth when they got in the fucking cage with him. I will absolutely give him that. That being said, this fight does nothing for either one of those gentlemen. If Gordon beats Jim Miller, he beat a guy on his way out the door. If Jim Miller subs Jared Gordon, it beats a dude who's got wrestling but no actual jiu-jitsu defense, who's also on his way out the door. There's no good way to fucking win this fight, really. So I agree with TJ. I think this one actually probably would have been better off as the early prelim premiere, but the fact that they've got it coming into the prelims, I think it'll still get enough eyes as it should. I am mildly curious, not because of the divisional implications or because of what it does to either one of their careers, but because I'm a fan of both guys in this, and because my boy Tommy would be remiss if I didn't take advantage of every opportunity I ever got to say at Sabatini into a microphone. So I'm curious about the Sabatini Gomi fight. William Gomi is another journeyman fighter. He's never going to be a fucking title threat, but he's fairly well rounded and he's a hell of a grappler for a fucking featherweight. Pat Sabatini has some pretty goddamn good wrestling, but he's quick and he's got pretty fucking sharp hands for a featherweight. So it's actually kind of an undercover matchup in my opinion, and I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. That said, I don't understand why Brady Buckley is on the main event. Why is that fight on the main card? Technically speaking, a top 5 rank is at stake, but realistically speaking, neither one of those gentlemen should be sniffing the top 5 right now, let alone be fighting for a place in it. Either way that fight goes, neither one of those guys are even sniffing a title conversation anytime soon. That one doesn't need to be on the main card. I honestly feel like the Gautier versus Ozzy Diaz fight has a better place on that card, because if Gautier flatlines Diaz like pretty much all of us think he's going to, they're going to strap the fucking rockets to that dude. They've been waiting for him to make the highlight for them to use to just really put the fucking promotion machine behind him. I don't like to say it very often, but Ozzy Diaz gets hit real well. He's not the worst fighter in the world, but he's not very good. He does get hit very well, though, as strange as that is to say. So there's a genuine possibility here that Gautier highlight reels this motherfucker, and then Monday morning, he's off to the fucking races, shooting up to the top. So I'm curious to see how that one plays out. I agree with TJ. Team Volkov, fuck Salsa Boy. He can take his stupid ass right back over to fucking Karate Combat and go play over there. I don't need to see any more of his bullshit. We've seen more than enough of exactly what he offers, and we can do without it. Co-main event, young breeds, the next generation, not only have the belt, but they're defending the belt against others from the next generation. Like it or not, the next group, the next class, the next evolution, whatever you want to fucking call it, of MMA fighters is here. And they're not waiting in the fucking doorway anymore. Now they're holding the belt and they're fighting for the belt. The young guys are there. It's not a matter of when they get to the top anymore. They're fucking there. I'm here for it. Either way that one plays out is going to be fucking spectacular. And no matter who wins, they're going to have to fight Pantoja next. So I'm here for the matchup. I'm here for the follow-up that comes from that matchup. I'm very happy with where 125 on the men's side of things is right now in the UFC. Main event. might be one of the most unpredictable matchups we have had all year. There is realistically every possibility you can think of how this fight would end has a genuine chance. Sean Strickland could trip over his own feet and accidentally punch Khamzat trying to come in for a takedown and knock him the fuck out. Khamzat could go in 8 seconds into the match, pick Sean Strickland up, slam him on the ground, jump on top, 5 shots, the fight's over. There is every possibility that fight could end up any way you can imagine it. There's a genuine chance it could go that way. This is another one. No matter how this fight plays out, I'm not really mad at it. If Strickland can figure out the puzzle that is Khamzat Chimaev, he deserves to get that fucking belt back. If Khamzat comes in and steamrolls Strickland like he has done to everyone else in his way, he's going to earn the ruby on his fucking belt, and he's going to deserve it. I'm cool with either way it goes, but I'm here for the card overall. I can't wait to fucking see it this weekend.
Appreciate you, boys. Hope this weekend definitely turns out to be as good as we think it's going to be, especially next weekend. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciated. So that'll bring us to the segment of the show that requires its own individual disclaimer, if you will. Excuse me. Tapology.com in no way, shape, or form supports, sponsors, or endorses the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does give you the option to go onto their website, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups on there, so we made one. We call it I'm No Bookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcome and encouraged. Make yourself an account, join the group, and then let us know who you are so we can hold your picks accountable with our picks in a segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
Welcome to the fucking show. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way right now. Tapology is absolutely free. So all of you freebies who are watching us and not a member of the Patreon, come over and join us. It's free. You don't have to let us know who you are. But if you want to, we will hold your picks accountable just like ours. Tell you when you do well. Tell you when they shit the bed. We're nice like that. However, if you don't want to tell us, it's still fucking free. Group 965 on No Bookie, however you need to find it. If you want to be cheap, that's fine. I don't care if you're a member of the Patreon or not, to be quite honest. Just so long as you're enjoying what you're getting here. And if you don't enjoy it, fuck off. Don't care. Again, I'm pretty anti-care. Like, my field of fucks is empty. And that's where I've tried to sow them, but there are no fucks to have been sown in the first place. So, without further ado, let's get into this last week here, which would have been the fucking Madalena and fucking Prates in Perth, which I'm not gonna lie, I fucking missed because one, I was sleeping, and then two, I had an early morning tea time, and well, sometimes golf is gonna take precedence, especially when it's in the fucking morning and I get to do it with my son. So, well, fuck that. Anyhow, started off with some strong fucking picking across the boards here. Everybody in our group, 9 picks or better. Absolutely fucking fantastic. And I don't think we've ever had this happen at the start of a new Grand Prix, but we have a dual first place. And because this is the first week of Grand Prix, I'm not going to give you the Grand Prix overalls. It's just how this works. There's a fucking tie between the meter and Donna with exactly 680 points apiece. However, if this was a one and done event, I would have to give the edge to the meter for having 11 of 13 correct, where Donna had 10 of 13. But with that caveat being stated, it's all about points. It's not about how many wins. She hit 2 perfects. That's an extra 50 points per perfect. Yes, there is semi-perfects, decisions, but it's not the same though. Those perfect picks are fucking massive. Now, Somebody, I guess, gets to trip over their dick award this week, and that would be me. 9 of 13, 580 points. I'm a full 100 points behind them. I couldn't buy a couple of fights, which is fine. To be honest, I was feeling really good about the way they started. It just didn't work out all that great.
The other thing that I feel has to be mentioned here.
Oh, wait a minute. Is also Mr. Terp Wizard himself, who has already bailed from the show. Also 580 points, 9 picks correct. What's crazy in that
First
is we
picks.
have the exact amount of decisions, perfect and semi-perfects. See,
His first
anybody
week.
can fucking do it.
His first week ever. He goes 9 of 13 for 580 points.
Any other given week, that could have been a winner. This week, just
That would have won a lot of other weeks.
and when you think about it, the difference between first and this is 2 picks. Legitimately, we were 2 picks off or 2 perfects. That's it. That's how close it was this week. Our group kind of knows what the hell we're doing most of the time. Now, on the flip side of that, there are times when we absolutely shit the bed. But, that's fighting because, well, everybody starts standing up and, well, they get stood up at the beginning of the next round. That's just how that works. Without further ado, we're going to move on from that because that kind of gives you an idea that everybody's going to be very close in the standings in the first week. So it really doesn't fucking matter. It's anybody's fucking race at this point. And there are still quite a few weeks left of this summer shenaniganry. So we're going to move right over into some odds. And I'm going to go back to the old faithful because it's been a while. We're going to hit up Caesars. So I've been fucking around with FanDuel and Bet River and whatever else. But this week, there are quite a few slightly wide and then a couple of really wide odd fights on this. We're just going to hit a couple of the slightly wides here, first and go from there. The first one I'm going to start with is one that we've already talked about earlier today, and that is Jared Gordon and Jim Miller. Jim Miller coming in as the underdog at plus 250. Jared Gordon getting a minus 320 favorite. To be honest, I think those odds should be a little tighter than that, but they're not. So got to take it as it lies, but that is what it is. The next one I'm going to touch on here is another fight that I said is just not worthwhile, and I don't fucking care about it. And that is Bobby Green and Jeremy Stevens. If you've noticed, I am not using his fucking name because fuck that nonsense. Stevens coming in as a plus 310 underdog. Green a minus 400 favorite. That is what it is. And to be honest, I think those odds are pretty close to fucking accurate because, well, Jeremy Stevens, he's like old Yeller, but he won't fucking die. To move on to some of the wider odds on the card here, I'm gonna go all the way down back towards the beginning of the card here, and that's Bysinger Susakayev and Jordan Santos. Jordan Santos coming in as a plus 550 underdog. Susakayev a minus 800 favorite. Pretty wide odds. But that is not the widest odds on the card. The widest on the card go to Gautier and Ozzy Diaz. Gautier is a minus 1600 favorite. Ozzy Diaz a plus 800 underdog. He's double the favorite, and Diaz is the underdog. That's absolutely wild. So if you're feeling giddy and you got an extra $100 you're willing to just throw away, maybe throw it on Diaz because that'll make you 800. I mean, that means in order to win $100 on Gautier, you have to drop $1,600. Just so that way you understand how the math works. Not worth betting on him this week. And by the way that he's been railroading people, I don't foresee his odds changing anytime soon until he starts getting into ranked opponents. Then they might be adjusted a little bit. And even then, he's kind of a scary individual. Now, that being said, the rest of the card is pretty coin flippy, so we're gonna hop right over to the co-main and main. The co-main, Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira, like I said, pretty coin flippy. They have Van, the current title holder, as a plus 135 underdog. Tatsuro Taira, a minus 160 favorite. Pretty close to coin flip. Kind of weird that they're giving the incumbent the fucking underdog status, but you know, hey, that is what it is. Now, here's another one where we get a little something different in the main event. We get we get pretty decently wide odds here. Hamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland. They have Strickland coming in as a plus 460 underdog, and Hamzat a minus 650 favorite.
Bruh.
Look, I'll say this. I don't think that those odds should be that wide. I think everybody forgets Sean Strickland has really great fucking grappling defense. And to be honest, he probably has the best grappling defense that Hamzat has come across, in my opinion. Grappling defense wise. So if he wants to stand and trade, Strickland's shell is great. But so I don't think those odds are quite as close as they should be, but they may also change closer you get to fight time. And who knows? Something crazy happens. Hopefully nothing crazy happens in the betting where all of a sudden a bunch of money comes in on Strickland for no fucking reason, because then they'll just cancel the fight because they're not risking playing that fucking game again. But that's what we got for fight odds this week. We'll be back with more. If you bet the house, don't. If you do bet the house and you win, maybe we helped you a little bit. Well, a little kick our way. We wouldn't say anything bad about it. But good luck if you're betting this week. There are some slightly wide odds where those fights could go either way. So maybe think about taking the underdogs in some of those, i.e. the Jim Miller, Jared Gordon fight. No, Jim Miller very well can get it fucking done. We've seen it before. He's been an underdog a lot of his career, so that's nothing new. But if you're gonna bet responsibly. I am not a professional bookie, so know that I will not be held accountable for your poor decisions. However, if you do make poor decisions, don't name it after me. I'm just saying, I don't need that on my conscience. That's all I got this week.
Thank you very much, sir. Always appreciated. So that being said, new fans of the show might be a little bit confused, but fans who've been tuning in for a while will know by the terrifying gift that is rolled across the screen that this is the point where we take the show from ha-ha to This is when we go from friendly to fuck you. And we turn this into a little bit of fun and fuckery and a thing that we like to call the pit. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where we take a fun thing like a pay-per-view or numbered card as they're called now, and we turn it into a friendly little competition. And this week, we have got Golf Tee on one side and Slow Bake on the other side here. So, gentlemen, are you ready for some action here? All right. So, TJ, I will give you the opportunity to decide who goes first this time around. Would you like to go first, or do you want to make the kid start it off?
You know, I think I'm gonna make the kid start first, namely because he's been working up that fucking appetite to talk while he's fucking walking. So let him rip.
All right. Well, Slow Bake, that means that you get to kick things off here. So for round one, every card inevitably has at least one fight. One fight that when that fight comes on, you have to make sure everyone that is around you is paying attention because this is the one that they need to see, whether they're UFC fans or not. We like to refer to that as the fight on the card. So if there was just one that you could pick that you need people to pay attention to, which one is that going to be for you this week?
That's easy, man. I was talking about it earlier in my fucking segment. Yaroslav Amosov versus Joel Alvarez. You talk about the ultimate epitome of what mixed martial arts fucking means. Grappling that actually means something instead of trying to hold a dude against the fence or hold a guy on the ground. No, these two dudes are going to try to murder each other. Whether they're trying to choke each other out and rip each other's heads off that way or try to knock each other's heads off with their fists or feet. Both of them very good with throwing some kicks, mind you. It's going to be quite a fucking fun time. If nobody's ever seen an MMA fight, for sure, this is one that would totally hook people in. I don't feel like this fight's going to be anywhere near disappointing, whether it's 15 minutes of ass beating or a quick finish. This is going to be one of the best fucking fights on this card. I could almost guarantee it.
Fight is going to get the eyes that it deserves, because I don't think there's a possibility that one's boring as well. And then that will bring us now over to the other side of the cage, if you will, here, Golf Tee. On every card, there is inevitably one fight you have to make sure that anyone who's around you is paying attention for. What's your "Hey Maul, get in here" fight for this weekend's UFC 328 card?
I'm going a little different. Not necessarily because it's going to be a 15-minute slugfest. Hopefully it's not. Has anybody ever seen a war between Russia and the Dominican Republic? I'm going Alexander Volkov and Oldest Cortez Acosta. Purely on the fact of we can see a Russian deport a Dominican back to the Dominican from the United States in a body bag. There is no other reason to have people tune in other than just to see one giant knockout, one fucking overhyped fucking pool boy. You call him Salsa Boy if you want, but he's a fucking pool boy. That's it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That's one of the other ones that I am very excited about, because I absolutely agree with you 100%. I think Volkov had one little trip and people forgot who the fuck he was and how good he really is. Meanwhile, Whack on the other side over there is basically getting hyped for outlasting dudes who he should be able to outlast. So I absolutely agree that that's got some fun potential written all over it, especially in the heavyweight division, which could use a little fucking excitement. Yeah, could be a damn good one for sure. So, bringing it back around here to round two, we will start things off with you, Golf Tee. So, if every card has one that everybody has to watch, that means that the flip side of that coin must be true as well. That there's one fight on the card that is just getting overhyped that you can pretty much guarantee you can use as your excuse to go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, go throw your old lady on the washer for a quick one, whatever you happen to be into during your break time. What fight are you completely ignoring this weekend?
There's some low-hanging fruit here, and I'm not going to take the low-hanging fruit, even though I really fucking want to. But I will say it's going to be Pat Sabatini and William Gomez. To be honest, I don't think that that fight is going to be exciting. I don't see a lot coming out of it. Unfortunately, Pat Sabatini has not been a steady presence as far as wins are concerned. And William Gomez, well, he shit the bed one too many times for me to even think about at this point. It's just not worth me paying attention. That is definitely going to be where I go mix myself a brand new drink, because I'm going to have a long fucking day on Saturday before the fights even get started. In fact, if I remember, they don't start till 4. So yeah, hopefully I'm done with whatever else I have to do, so that way I can at least catch Clayton Carpenter over this fucking nonsense.
Yeah, I think there is equally as possibility. As much as I am excited about that fight, those two also have the distinct possibility of putting on a boring 15 just the same. It is absolutely a Schrodinger's contender in that sense. It could be spectacular. It could be, why the fuck are we still watching this kind of shit? So I absolutely agree with that. that'll bring us back over to the other side of the octagon, as it were. Slow bake, if there is one you have to make sure everybody pays attention to, there's also inevitably one that you're going to use to do a dab or fuck with Vinny or something in the meanwhile where you don't need to pay attention to the TV. Which one is that for you this weekend?
This one feels slightly easy to me, even though Golf T was kind of right. That's one of them on the card you don't need to pay attention to. You mentioned Vinny. This lucky fucker walked up to me, brought me a doob, saved my ass, allowed me to get a little high on some fucking hash burger, bubble hash infused doobie. Good times. But Susar Kayev and fucking DeJordan Santos fight is the one that I'm going to throw on there. I think the Susar Kayev kid, he looked great on the Contender Series and in the debut, like we were mentioning earlier, but that fucking barely getting McConaughey out of there, taking all the way to the third round to do it, looking like he was gassing out himself, and honestly was looking rough in multiple moments of that fight. I think he got hurt and got dropped at least once, if not twice, in that fight. It looked rough. Jordan Santos has shown he's got knockout power too, so wouldn't be surprised. But this fight as a whole is just one of those to skip. Dude got his ass beat by Ozzy Diaz. Even if he's got knockout power, it's not one of the greatest fights. This one could just be scratched right the fuck off. So make sure this is the one. Grab your drinks, take your dabs, fuck your woman real quick, whatever you need to do. Don't watch this fight.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. There's a reason that Dana hasn't even bothered to learn the guy's name. They just call him Jimmy Suss because they can't even remember what his fucking real name is. Uh, there is absolutely a possibility he could be fun, but so far from what we've seen, there's almost more of a distinction of him just being another good dude in the gym, not necessarily transferring that over into the actual cage. But we'll see this weekend for damn sure. So, with that being said, that'll bring us to round three, and we will go back over here to start off with slow bake. So, round three, we have got one hell of a co-main event, in my opinion. Like I said earlier, this is the new generation. Not only do they have the belt, but they are defending it against others from the new generation in 125. So, my question to you is very simple, sir. How do you think that co-main event plays out Saturday night?
So, like I was mentioning a little bit ago on my fucking segment, I'm really hyped and excited for this co-main event. I want to see the Japanese man finally become champion so fucking bad. It's not even funny. Tatsuro Taira is another one of those extremely well-rounded guys. Amazing grappling potential, and he's shown us that he's worked on those hands quite a bit. He's still so fucking young. He's got so much room to grow, even still. But I am worried about Josh Van. Like, the dude's got insane boxing. Like TJ mentioned earlier, love how he works the fucking body. He also beat the shit out of Brandon Royval. We don't like to use MMA math, but god damn it, Van beat the shit out of Royval, and Royval caught Tyra. Tyra's only losses to the Raw Dog. I just can't get past that sometimes. Doesn't mean anything this weekend. I know it, but like I said, that curse, man. And I think the curse is going to fucking shine through once again this weekend, even if it pains me to say it. I would love to see Tyra win, become the first Japanese champion, but I think that fucking curse is going to keep on cursing.
Yeah, there is definitely a distinct possibility, 100%. So that'll bring us back across the octagon. Golf tee, we have got a hell of a co-main event here. Young dudes. Inevitably, the winner is going to fight Pantoja, but we got to find out who is going to fight Pantoja for the belt next. So, how do you think this one plays out Saturday?
I'm not gonna lie here. I'm not even gonna pretend that I think this is gonna go a different way. I'm pretty sure that we will see the rematch of Joshua Van and Pantoja. There's nothing. I have nothing against Tatsuro Taira. However, he just does not seem to me, have that same pop that Van does as far as speed and activity is concerned. Yes, he took out Moreno. However, that was also kind of that beginning of the end for Moreno, as we've seen, where he's just kind of been on that steady decline. And nothing against Moreno. He was a great champion while he was champ. But if that's who you're basing giving the title shot onto, not a fan of how that worked out. Also, not a fan that this fight got pushed back because both of these fighters were both ready until somebody decided to get a hand injury or whatever the fuck injury it was and had to push it back a little bit. But so hopefully they're both peaked again or they didn't lose the peak that they were at a couple of weeks ago. Joshua Van, like I said, I am a huge fan of his fucking boxing. I know. I say this outright more than once. I am not a boxing fan, but the way that he uses boxing in MMA is fucking different. The way he sits behind that jab, works the body, uses it to open up shots to the head, that's a scary fucking prospect. And he's young, still learning and getting better every time we fucking see him. Tatsuro's the same way, but I don't think he's quite to the Joshua Van level yet. But it is nice to see the new guard up here and seeing how it's going to play out. But I do think Van is going to get the job done. I don't see a world where Tatsuro takes this out of here. It's just it's a stretch. It's a stretch for that to happen, in my opinion. It'll be close for a little while. I say for a little while. But Joshua Van kind of reminds me of Cowboy. But he starts faster than Cowboy. And he just kind of picks up the pace and gets better as the rounds go on. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. That's how he finishes fights, is pushing that pace up, and eventually he's put enough on them to where they have no option but to go down. Oh. Hey, Myanmar is gonna have a reigning, defending fucking title holder, so either way, we'll see how it plays out. But I think Van gets the job done.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are both right on the money. I would love to see Japan get their first champion, but I just don't know if Tatsura has what it takes to beat Josh Van. So I think we are going to end up seeing that Pantoja rematch coming up later this year. So that being said, that'll bring us to round 4. Golf T, we kick things back off with you here. So we have got one of the crazier main events we have had all year in Strickland versus Chimaev here. We already saw things fire off at the press conference this afternoon. So I'm curious, how do you think this one plays out when we actually close the cage door on Saturday?
All right, let me start with this here. This is another one of those fucking fights where I go, I like it because they are two very loose cannons in real life. And I love watching loose cannons fucking talk shit, go after each other prior to the fight. That's way to sell a fight, boys. Granted, that's just Chimaev being Chimaev, and that's just Strickland being Strickland. They're not even trying to sell the fight. They're just being themselves, which sells this so fucking well. Now, I said it earlier, say it again. Strickland has a great takedown defense. Defensive wrestling, he's fucking fantastic at. The other side of that coin, Hamzat is a fucking animal. A rabid fucking animal with no stop. To be quite honest, I think outside of the fight he had with, what was that? Fuck, what fight was that? No, my brain is not braining right now. Outside of the fight he had with fucking Usman, I think this is going to end up being his fucking toughest fight. Because, I mean, he got a majority decision against Usman. which is fucking wild when you think about that and how beat up Boozman is at this fucking point in his career, how bad his knees are. But then you get Strickland, who gets a win over Fluffy Hernandez via KO. So, to be fair, he got a KO back in February in the 3rd round. Great on him. He's only 3 months removed from that. I don't think that that was enough to warrant him getting the title shot after he had previously lost to Dricus du Plessis. Duplessis got just fucking manhandled by Hamzat. And we have not seen him come back to the octagon since last August when he did fight Hamzat. There hasn't even been a report of, oh, he might have a fight coming. That tells you there's levels to this game. Well, I think it's going to be close for about a round. By the middle of the 3rd round, this fight will be over. At the very latest, Hamzat will do one of 2 things. He's either going to knock Strickland out via ground and pound, or he's going to rear naked choke him. There is no other way that this fucking plays out. And I see the rear naked choke happening late 2nd round, early 3rd. Even with Strickland's great fucking grappling defense, I just don't see it going any other way.
Interesting. That is definitely a very realistic possibility between those two. If they both come out and essentially do what they say they're going to do, that very well could play out just like that. So that'll bring us over to the other side of the cage here. Christian, how do you think these 2 lunatics end up when the dust settles on Saturday night in that main event?
Well, if we actually get to Saturday night and get the fight, with the kick in the nuts that already happened today, I think it'll be a fun ass fucking fight. Kind of like TJ said, like every bit of me being an MMA fan for a while knows Hamzat's probably going to demolish the dude. But like I just mentioned earlier, when I was talking about Van and Tyra, MMA math doesn't always mean shit. So just because one dude beat Sean twice and then Hamzat dominated that dude doesn't necessarily mean anything going into this fight. I think Hamzat will probably, like, if I'm going to bet money on it, Hamzat's going to dominate the fight because of the grappling. He's going to get a submission, or he's going to do the same shit that he did to Duplessis. 5 rounds of just drowning Sean, but Sean has amazing wrestling and grappling. He just doesn't like to use it. He talks the way he would say it. He's not gay, and he doesn't want to be gay, right? He doesn't want to fucking roll around with a dude. That's all it is. He wants to fight. He wants to do the man dance in the opposite way, right? So I'm American, dude. The dude is a piece of shit human being. A lot of us are. I'm not gonna say that I'm perfect. The dude says a lot of fucking offensive shit, a lot of stupid shit, a lot of ridiculous shit. Makes you facepalm, cringe, all those things. But the dude's real. He is not fake for shit. The only thing you could say he's fake about is him saying he's going to die in the octagon, and then he goes in and jabs and teeps for 25 minutes. But he's a real motherfucker, and he's a real American. And this other motherfucker has literally multiple times stated that he's a terrorist and does have ties with an actual terrorist warlord. But let's just be honest here. My heart wants to see Strickland beat his ass some way, somehow, beat his ass, become the champ again, just so that I can have that fun. Like, this is the year of America, right? 250th fucking anniversary, even though Trump's making a mockery out of it in some ways. The United States men's team winning the gold medal against fucking Canada. John Strickland beating the Chechen whore. I'm here for it. That's all I can say. Chechen whore's probably going to win, and I'm going to be a little sad about it, but the dude's really goddamn good, and it's just like Taporia. I don't have to like guys. I didn't like Alex Taporia or Alex Pereira at first either, But he grew on me, so we'll see. I'm not rooting for the Chechen whore, but I think he's going to win.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that as well. Kamzat is definitely controversial, I think is a good way to put that. But so is Sean fucking Strickland. So it's going to be an interesting one to see either way that it plays out. So that being said, this is the point where we bring things to round 5, the winner take all. This is where the points actually count. So since we are going into round 5, Christian, I will give you the opportunity here to decide who gets the round 5 question first.
Shit, my bad, brother. Hey, what was the question? One more time.
Round 5, who goes first? You get to call it.
Oh, okay, dokie. Yeah, your fucking Vinny had the TV going, so when I set something down in there, I could not hear shit. I'll go ahead and go first again. Why the fuck not?
All right. So, our round 5 question this evening is brought to us by none other than our very own Flintlock, who's already taken his ass to bed because he's got to work bright and early tomorrow. The question is, sir,
Bitchy.
regardless of the fact that this is where we are and this is what we're going with, in your opinion, does Joshua Van actually deserve to be in this title fight against Tatsuru, given what happened with Alex? Or do you think they should be waiting, since Alex determined that his arm was not broken, to wait and run that one back first?
All right, that's actually a pretty good question, and I love that Justin's the one that came up with it. If he's not still watching, if he's already gone to bed, love you, brother. You damn sure not a fucking casual anymore. That is a good question. God damn. So it's tough, right? Because it's similar to the Aljo situation years ago, but it's not. Like, I wanted to see that fight. I still want to see that fight. Yeah, I would have, as a hardcore MMA fan, rather than fucking waited for Van to be healthy, especially. It's probably not going to be a year that he came out. He broke his arm or whatnot. It didn't tear an ACL. It's a little different of an injury there, but no, is not the thing that bothered all the soldiers. Was it seemed like he was acting. It seemed like he acted it up when he got cracked with that knee from Peter, and he played it up so that he could purposely win the fucking belt. That's how I took it in the moment. I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of us fans took it in the moment. The dude tried to play an acting job so that he could fucking win the belt. Pantoja, it was unlucky. It wasn't really anything Josh Van did to create the fucking arm break, but they're in a fight. They're fighting. Dude throws him away from him. Pantoja fucking starts falling down. He tries to reach out and he breaks his arm. It was just a really unlucky situation. Sucks ass. Hope that that's the next fucking fight. I don't like. That's the thing that really pissed me off. They keep pushing that away. Don't go back to it. But I think Van deserves to be in this spot, because had it been opposite, I would have rather seen them wait and allow Van. It's the same thing. Like it's a mixed bag. Like it sucks, but I don't think it's the same situation what we've seen before. I'm excited as hell for this fight. Two young kids, both of them deserve to be in this position. Either one of them deserved to fight Pantoja if he was still a champ. So that's the only thing that I feel, and I would say after the fact, Pantoja's got to be a part of this fucking picture once that motherfucker's healthy, and that's got to happen before this year's up. It still sucks. It's a bummer, but I like Van. He's shown he deserves it, and I feel like even if he would have lost that fight, similar to the fight we saw Vinny Siggs give Pantoja, he would have given Pantoja hell, and that would have been a fun ass fucking fight. I just want to see that motherfucker that later this year. That's all I gotta say. Good motherfucking question. Thank you. But yeah, I'm not gonna shit all over Josh Van in this situation. So you didn't fucking play pussy to fucking win the belt.
I definitely agree. I definitely think it's an interesting one, but I don't know. We'll see. So that brings us back over to you, Golf T. Joshua Van is technically the current featherweight champion, or not featherweight, excuse me, flyweight champion. But he did get it on some controversial methods. So, do you feel that he actually deserves to be in the title fight, or should they have waited and made the Pantoja run back first?
I'm going to make this very easy for everyone to understand. Most people in America are football fans, right? If you're not, whatever your sport of choice is, whoever your lead character is in your sport of choice, let's just say the NFL, your quarterback is generally the lead character on your fucking team. For the most part. Don't get me wrong, there's a few exceptions because some of the quarterbacks that some of these teams have suck. But either way, generally, it's your fucking quarterback. If your quarterback goes down, they have a backup. MMA doesn't fucking work like that. You get injured, you either continue to fight injured or you quit. And by quit, I mean the ref steps in sometimes. You've lost that fight. Period. Doesn't matter how the injury occurred, whether the fighter caused it or the fucking person caused it to themselves. That is still an L. Unfortunately, we watch the fight game week in and week out. This shit does happen. You see guys injure themselves before fights, during fights, or get injured by the other guy. Some people will fight through it, others will not. Van 100% deserves to be in the title fight. Period. Now, whether or not it was against awaiting Pantoja to get fucking healed up or Tatsuro Taira, it doesn't fucking matter. I can't say that it was a controversial win. No, it's a fucking win. You get injured, you can't fight. At that point, you're disabled. Think of it like fucking, I don't know if you guys have ever played the video game Wreckfest. Once your car is disabled, you're out of the fucking race. Unfortunately, Pantoja's car got disabled and he was out of the fucking race. Therefore, all there is to do is run a victory lap, put that belt around Van's fucking waist, and let him come over and fight whoever the fucking UFC is going to throw at him. The problem I have with this all is that the UFC fucked this up. They should have waited for Pantoja to heal before fucking booking Van another fight, because we all deserved to see the completion of that first fight, because we didn't know which way it was going to go. I mean, we know now in hindsight, but that's only because somebody got injured. But the UFC is going to UFC. And to their credit, this is one of the few times I'll fucking agree, because I complain about it a lot. Divisions getting held up because a champ is injured or waiting on a fucking fight because the person who booked gets injured. At least in this case, when Van got injured, however the fuck it was, they only pushed it back 4 weeks. Or was it 3 weeks? I don't fucking remember. But it was from one numbered card to the next. No 6, 12, fucking 18-month fucking layoffs or anything like that. Good. Keep the fucking belt moving. Keep the division active. Don't make it inactive. Don't let them pull a fucking John Jones on you and just hold on to the belt for fucking a year and a half, not do dick with it because you're afraid to fight. Good on Van. He deserves to be here. If he's willing to go in there and defend against fucking Tatsuro Taira, he absolutely deserves to fucking be there. And there's no further questions with that. Anybody who thinks otherwise is fucking ridiculous and doesn't understand how the sport actually works.
I get it. So, before I read the scores, I do want to mention I am one of those ridiculous people. I have had a reverse Aljo situation on Josh Van. I still think he's a decent fighter, but whereas Aljo clearly did not deserve the belt and then went on to defend it multiple times and prove that he did deserve to be there, even if he didn't get there right, Joshua Van got there on a circumstance that he did not create, but since winning the belt, has now started saying that he caused Pantoja to fall like that, and that it's Pantoja's fault that he hurt his arm because a black belt should know how to land.
To be fair, he's not fucking wrong. If you're a black belt in any fucking sort of, especially a jujitsu discipline, the first thing they fucking teach you in class is how to properly fall. Why?
Right.
Because you are going to fall. So he's not wrong on that. Now, did he force him to fall? Maybe, maybe not. And I say that for this reason and this reason only. You're in the middle of a fight. Whether you're backing up, trying to throw something, you fall, whatever, you're in the fight. The other fighter, in some way, shape, or fashion, caused that. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. So I can see where your head's at on this. But maybe he
Yeah.
shouldn't be saying it in the way he's saying it. But at the same time, he's not fucking wrong.
Right.
Yep.
I think that's
I
more of my
agree.
problem with it is the fact that he's trying to take credit for it all of a sudden. Because this is one of the very, and I mean very few times I will ever defer to the Sugar Commission. This one don't count.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. Like him saying that shit is going a little overboard, but at the end of the day, like Golf T mentioned earlier too, like even if it was the ref that has to stop the fight, like we've seen dudes have dislocated shoulders, keep trying to go on. We've heard about guys having broken arms and continue to go through the fucking fight. We've seen Anthony Smith take the knee in the John Jones fight, and he kept going. Aljo pussied out. Pantoja didn't necessarily pussied out, but man did fucking win fair and square, so he can talk some shit. That's what fighters do. You're gonna talk your shit.
I mean, he's doing a really good job of selling the rematch when this is all said and done.
He absolutely is doing that because he has taken every opportunity they have given him with a microphone in front of his face all week and said, when this fight's over, Pantoja gets next. He absolutely deserves the next shot, regardless of what anybody else wants. He deserves the shot next. So I will give him credit there. He is saying some smart things after he says the dumb thing. So that being said, damn close one. Came down to the fifth round, as it often does here. Let's see if I can actually get this fucking thing to work. Galti takes it 48-47 at the very end, and my cat's trying to stand on my fucking keyboard. Get back. Now my shit's broken. Come on, quit fucking around. There we go. There we go. All right. So, congratulations, Golf T. You take it this weekend on the pit. First one of 2026. Crown is yours for now, sir. Congratulations. Well played to both of you, gentlemen. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. But when we wrap things up around here Thursday night, that is not the end of the fun. We do, however, try and go live pretty much every Thursday night when there are fights to talk about. We dual broadcast it, youtube.com/@I'mNoJoe and twitch.tv/I'mNoJoe. We go live on Thursdays and then we leave those replays up as long as both platforms allow. So if you miss us live, you can catch the replay. If you missed the replay, we understand that. We also own mirrors. And for that reason, the week after we go live, we put the all audio version up on anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. You can grab it to your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Spotify, Apple, whatever you use to listen. It's there and it's free just the same to listen. If you like what we get up to around here, though, first and foremost, make sure you subscribe, turn that notification bell on so you don't miss an episode, and hit that thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. You really like what we get up to around here. Like TJ mentioned earlier, patreon.com/I'mNoJoe is the best way to help us do what we do. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you are comfortable giving, you help us do what we do around here at the I'm No Joe podcast. And in return, first and foremost, we put your name on the end of every broadcast so that everyone knows how fucking awesome you are for supporting us. But moreover than that, supporting at any level gets you access to the unaired and unairable content, all the behind the scenes bullshit, the fun and fuckery that got us kicked off of OnlyFans as a platform. It's all up on Patreon for you to enjoy, as well as Patreon exclusive content. We have now started making stuff just for the folks that support us as well. So if that's something you are interested in, link down below whether you are listening or watching this. That being said, pretty much every weekend when we do have fights, you can click over on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel's Shorts tab. I will give you a quick little recap and a picture since I can't use videos anymore, you cocksuckers. of what happened anytime there is a finish in a relevant fight over the course of the weekend. And this weekend in particular, seeing as how we have got a numbered event coming up 1 hour before the fight starts Saturday afternoon, you can catch myself and Flintlock back here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel for a little thing we call the pregame show. We will give you all of the latest updates and information relevant to UFC 327, leading you directly into the early prelims. So if you are not up to date, catch us there and we will get you so. That being said, when we close shop around here Thursday night, that is not the end of the fun, because first thing tomorrow, and pretty much every Friday, this gentleman and his other half will drop their podcast, Slow Bake and Contemplate, over on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast, their social media, and their channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, all down in the description. Go click on it and tell them how good they're doing.
Appreciate you, brother. Well, the fun doesn't fucking stop. I know he doesn't stream anymore, but the brother does fantastic things like we just did the other month. Raising money for fucking children for bikes and all the yonder. I'm sure there'll be other cool shit that we get up to later on this year. You gotta always show the brother Golf T Vape some fucking love too. All of his stuff should be down in the description. Even if the brother ain't streaming from week to week, other than this shit, you gotta go show him some love.
Sir, he's right. It's nice to be a free man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm free all except for one night a week. And even this, I'm still kind of free because it's not my fucking dog and pony show. I'm just here as an extra. Oh, since there is a free night in the week, you gotta find some time or something to fill that time gap with. Little Birdie told me that there's a high chance that you can find other things to do by clicking on Linktree / The Meter Does Many Things, or Linktree / I'm No Joe, and it will take you to each and every one of the many things that the meter does do. And there's another high chance that you'll learn a thing or two. In fact, even hanging around, you make contact a little bit of extra you didn't know you needed in your life. Go check it out. It's totally worth your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. If you do find yourself a fan of the Devil's Lettuce, me and Satan's Jazz Cabbage have ourselves a great time over on the other channel. So make sure you click that link down below. On the other side of that coin, if you are just here for the punchy cookie goodness, I don't blame you a bit. Click the I'm No Joe link. It will take you to everything I'm No Joe you need to know about. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.